G'day viewers. To an outside observer, one of the bizarre things about American politics has always been the communist boogeyman. I mean, okay, for sure, they are a political rival, whether the old days of the USSR or modern day Russia run by one of the power brokers from the USSR. You know, sure, they are in conflict with you. But the idea that any sort of empathy towards Russia, any sort of suggestion of policy that could be considered socialist or communist is evil. The way the Republicans talked to adults as if they were trying to scare a child at bedtime has always been weird. I thought that was weird, and I thought all sorts of things about this current presidential election cycle were weird, but nothing is quite as weird as seeing a Republican nominee for US president who is so clearly an utter stooge of Russia and Putin and the Kremlin. It's like when you've seen all the efforts by Russian entities to destabilize the election process, they obviously want America to go down in fucking flames, and they clearly favor Trump as the elected person who would be of most benefit to them. If they were just trying to wreck the political process and delegitimize it, there would be equal amount of shit being thrown about Trump. But they're throwing no shit at Trump and all at Clinton. And the Republicans, and particularly this really blows my mind, the loopy, conspiracy-loving fringe wackos who are foaming at the mouth in their support at Trump, are actually saying, Putin's a strong man. Yeah, that would be great if he was something to do with us. That's awesome. Like, the complete flip is absolutely mind-blowing. And more details are coming out. Trump and his campaign have been under investigation since halfway through the year for not just being a pathetic stooge that the Russians would prefer to be president, but they've been investigated to see if they are actively engaged in collusion with the Kremlin. Like, you know, espionage, being a traitor, stuff like that. And this is the Republican nominee who, have you ever seen him say something bad about Putin? It's really bizarre. And the concept that there could have been any sort of investigation, like the FBI has just gone, maybe there's something to look into. The idea that you would not pour all your resources into looking at, seriously, is this nominee for president compromised by the Russians? Because now, just a week out after the FBI have done this bizarre thing where the director randomly said, hey, we're investigating some more emails that might be to do with Clinton, except it appears not to do with Clinton, and it appears to be a breach of every standing protocol for him to have done that, and it just has completely compromised the FBI. But then you're getting these stories of investigations that have been going on since mid-year, and the rumour that the Kremlin has incriminating video of Trump, that he was the story goes that he was invited to a party and then stuff happened which is on video which could be used to incriminate him. That is right out there on the fringe of possibility. But the concept that Trump hasn't been helped by Russia, that even in the past, before he's anything to do with the presidential run, that he hadn't had Russian money in his businesses. And this is the stupid thing people in his campaign have done. They've unequivocally said, no, Trump has no connection, because there was a story about there maybe being a mail server in the Trump Corporation that was directly connected to a Russian bank. May or may not be true. They've said it isn't. But that's a way smaller story than Trump being under investigation for colluding. That he's former head of his campaign is under serious scrutiny for his links to Russia. And for someone in Trump's campaign to now say he's got no links, never has, no links whatsoever, that is obviously a direct lie. He's saying no one who's currently or has been working on his campaign has link links with Russian businesses, banks, or the Kremlin. Trump himself, the Trump empire, you're saying they've never had Russian money. You're saying they've got no dealings with Russian entities. That simply isn't true. It isn't necessarily a sign that Trump is a traitor. It's more likely that he's just a soulless stooge who'll do anything for money. But when he's running for president, that's a kind of serious issue. Weirdly, his racism, his stupidity, and up until recently, his rampant sexism haven't hurt him at all. But to actually be under the thumb of Russia when you're a presidential candidate, what kind of weird Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass reality have we gotten into? Okay, it's only a week to go. I just want this to be over. Surely there can't be any result but Trump getting beaten. But I ceased trying to predict any of this long ago because it's the strangest thing ever that now the most conservative people in America are rapidly supporting someone who is clearly compromised by his interests with Russia. How much is anyone's guess? But the idea that he's not under their influence, that he hasn't had dealings with them, is fucking ridiculous. And if you support Trump, you're obviously okay with the racism, you're obviously okay with the sexism, and you're actually apparently also okay with the Kremlin having influence over the United States president.